Well, let's bow our heads for a word of prayer, and then we will turn things over to Rachel and see what she has in store for us tonight. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this opportunity to come together. Thank you for bringing us this far in the week. And I ask that you will be with us tonight as we learn how to cook delicious food that is also healthy for us. In Jesus' name I pray. Well, Rachel? Hello, Rachel.
Except I can't see myself.
Okay.
Are we
Let me go
frozen?
ahead and
Oh, yeah.
spotlight you all. And it looks like Trina is there with
You want me to
you.
make sure we're frozen over here, so I can't tell.
Okay, I can see you. It looks like you're moving. Okay.
All right.
All right. So
Good
Rachel, we'll
evening,
turn things over
everyone.
to you and go for it.
Everything is frozen, so I'm having a hard time.
The
Everything's
screen is
frozen.
frozen here.
So I just want to make sure. There's always some kind of quirk.
Yeah.
Started here. Just a second.
I
I'm
don't know
sorry.
if it.
And they can't hear
Mm.
anybody.
Okay.
We had a malfunction, an electronic malfunction. So we want to make sure everything's working well. And
Oh boy.
so
You're echoing though.
up. Want to make sure everybody can hear us. Connecting on the laptop there.
Rachel, you're echoing.
We are. Our technical things going now.
We're not frozen anymore.
Want to make sure everybody can hear us. Can you give me 2 thumbs up if you can hear us? That would be awesome.
Yay.
Wonderful. Hooray. Well, good evening. And here we are in Food with Friends again. And today I am with my friend Trudy.
Hi.
And we have a lot of fun. We both have 4 children. Trudy, how many boys and how many girls do you have?
2 boys, 2 girls.
And
They like to eat. They're almost all teenagers, so
yes, that's wonderful.
they like good food.
Yep, good food is important, and nutritious food is really important too in a family of 6. So you have to make sure everybody's staying healthy.
Food is fuel.
Yes, that's right. And Trudy is famous for her introduction to beets to people's family. She didn't know she was going to be the proponent of beets, but she is a different kind of beets, not the headphones, right?
No.
So she does the ones that are good for us. Do you know, can you give us some nutritional information about beets? Or do you know any off the top of your head?
I want to say they're rich in iron, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. That's true.
A lot of things that are red are rich in iron. They're a root vegetable, so they pull a lot of nutrients from the ground.
Yeah.
The leafy greens are edible too, and greens are typically higher in calcium and vitamin C.
Wonderful.
So, and
And
yeah,
yeah, and we get to use the whole beet in this recipe that we're
Yep.
gonna do, right?
no waste. Well,
No waste.
virtually no waste.
So she has turned more than just like little or older children to beets. She's actually gotten little children to eat beets too. And so this soup is really wonderful, and I'm excited that you're going to share it today. So to get started, where do you start with your recipe?
With the beet soup, which is officially in Russia and like in the Ukraine, they call it borscht, and I'm probably slaughtering the way to pronounce that, but that's how I always learned it growing up. And so I don't know, I've kind of gotten better at it over time. Usually I just throw everything together and cook it, but then I realized the beets do take a little bit more time to cook.
Yes.
So they can get a head start along with the veggies that we saute. So
where did you get your recipe from? Where did it start? Because most people don't just eat borscht. I'm assuming you're not Russian.
not Russian, not Ukrainian. Honestly, I don't exactly know, but I know that I grew up eating it. My mom would make it, and we always loved it. It was like the best. And so I just thought that was kind of us. And then different ones have tasted it, and they've like wow, we really like this. It's really good. So I don't know. It's an interesting combination of vegetables, but it is so yummy. My children would eat it all year round.
And one of the things that we really focus on in this class is making things simple and stuff that people can throw together and have ready. And this is something that the leftovers are good. If you have any leftovers, when you have teenagers, there are no leftovers.
No,
But
no, we always make a huge batch so that we can save another batch in the refrigerator, and nobody complains about having to eat leftover soup,
that's right.
beet soup. Love it.
And so today, because we are going to be feeding teenagers afterwards, you're going to see us make a massive amount. The recipe is not going to be written like that. So when you get the recipe, it will be a much smaller batch. That's more manageable for a family of 4.
Yeah, it probably would feed 4 to 6, the single recipe.
But we know our teenagers, and we know they will
Like it so much.
consume a lot of these things. So hopefully our overhead camera will work today. And maybe Sean, you can give me a thumbs up if that's the case, and we can show you where we're gonna start.
Okay, I believe the recipe probably says saute the onions and the garlic. You can do that if you want to, but I just cook it all together, and I don't notice any loss of flavor. I mean, it tastes good to me, and you can cut out the oil or something, it's probably a little better for you.
Oh yeah,
possibly without
definitely.
the extra oil. So it's easy peasy.
So there
Just-
goes a massive amount of onions.
It's all good.
And they smell so good.
Yes. And here we have celery, which is just diced up. And these are the stems of the beet greens. Like we said, nothing goes to waste, but they do take a little longer to cook. So we're going to go ahead and get them going
With
right
the
away. Yep. Celery, onions, and actually garlic too. And I think the recipe called for, was it 6 cloves for the batch that we're making? But more the merrier with garlic.
You can't go wrong with garlic.
Garlic is so good. You cook it up. It's wonderful. So we're going to throw a whole bunch of garlic in here.
You aren't really cooking if you don't use garlic. At least that's what I've been told, and that's what I actually believe.
So you don't have to put, if you don't, not as fond of garlic, you don't have to put as much in, but we like garlic. So we're going to throw a bunch of that in there and put some water. Don't really want a whole clove in there.
Got to use your forearm muscles for that. Don't you?
I'm being ambitious.
No, because it's just important to have cheater tricks. One of the things that you cheat with is what?
Oh,
What do you
usually what happens is when I'm doing it at home, I put some water for the soup in the blender, throw the garlic cloves in it, and turn it on high until they're all blended up with the water, and pour it in. And then I don't have to do. It's so easy.
You don't have to use your
You
forearms.
don't have to have one of these. You do have to have a blender, I guess, if you're doing that, but
That could be really cool.
yeah. So then it calls for, my batch, a whole bunch of water.
And
So-
this is a real treat because this is garlic from your garden.
Yeah.
And we were just talking a little bit ago about when to grow garlic.
Yeah, you plant it in the fall between, supposed to be close to the first frost, and I don't know the exact dates. But honestly, you can buy garlic from the store, and you could put the little bottom end of it down into the ground, not very far, just barely in the ground. And you could kind of cover them over with straw or something like that to give them a little bit of insulation, but they grow great. It's an easy crop. You can harvest the next summer. So
That's
we have a
fantastic.
whole bunch of garlic.
That's wonderful. I'm gonna start growing garlic this year.
Yeah, it's one of the easier things to do.
And the
honestly.
bugs probably aren't gonna bother it as much as they do everything else,
yeah.
right?
I do not have
I
any.
stole your knife, didn't I?
No, it's fine.
Leave it to me to steal a knife.
Nope. Okay, so water.
All right.
We
We're gonna
have,
put some water in our pot and get it started on the stove. And as this part of the recipe, as we let this cook down a little, we're gonna show you another recipe.
Yeah.
So,
I think I'll go ahead and throw in some of the bouillon. I usually do 1 bouillon cube for 2 cups of water. This is just a vegan beef kind of flavored bouillon cube. You can also use vegan beef flavored powder.
Maybe throw it up this way too.
Okay, that'll
can
be a
see
little
that.
easier. We're not sponsored, but it works. It's a little easier. You can season it without broth powder or bouillon cubes, just salt and maybe garlic powder and I don't know, things that taste good. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
Salt and garlic is excellent.
I
So I'll
also
put
use-
a few of these in, but I'm not going to put as many as it would call for.
There's also a brand called Better Than Bouillon. Have you ever used that?
Better than bouillon. Yep. And that's in a
one I
jar.
like to use. Yeah, yeah. It's like a liquid concentrate.
All right.
It's just kind of nice.
Yeah.
To use as well.
So whatever works for you. You do not have to use bouillon at all. You could just make, I mean, it's basically going to be a vegetable broth with all these vegetables simmering
Oh yeah.
with some salt and garlic.
Mhm.
Honestly, you can't go wrong. But this just makes it a little bit easier. So get that going. And we'll throw in the bay leaves too. I don't know if there's a rule for when to put the bay leaves in.
The longer bay leaves cook in something, the more flavor they'll give it.
Okay, so we're gonna do that right now as
Yeah.
well. So bay leaves, it says 6. All right.
So you're throwing 6
1,
bay leaves
2,
in.
3, 4, 5. Yeah.
When I lived in California, they had the bay trees everywhere. And so you could just go and pick your bay leaves and have fresh bay leaves instead of the dried ones. It's totally amazing flavor. You don't need
So
much.
nice. Woo, it's
We're
splashing.
putting some hot water in here to kind of get it
Yeah, we're
jump started.
speeding up our process a little bit.
right.
So this can just start to simmer and cook down on the stove, and then we can keep adding.
Do you want more water?
We could put some more water in if we have it.
We have it.
We have
We'll get
it.
really started.
Yeah.
Tell me when.
I don't know. We still have to put a bunch of cabbage, beets. It's a big pot.
It's a big pot. That's right.
It's a big pot.
All right. And
Okay.
We're gonna get that started. Shall we put the lid on to keep it,
Sure, yes.
get it going even
Yeah,
faster?
A watch pot doesn't boil, but a pot with a lid boils faster.
That is so true.
Boils faster. So yeah,
I boiled something over today.
every little trick that you can.
So now what all are you adding here?
Well, I'm just kind of prepping these, but if we're going to get started on the muffins,
Sure.
that will be a little bit of a gear change.
Yes. So let's go ahead and do that. And we're gonna put the other ingredients off to the side.
Yeah.
And I will start. I know you're making a different kind of muffins.
Yeah, it's kind of unique.
Most people, when they make muffins, make sweet muffins.
Sweet
Yes.
muffins. And
This is not a sweet muffin.
that's a savory muffin. They're actually onion muffins. Now, if you use Vidalia, the onions themselves are going to be a little bit sweet, but it doesn't have any sugar in it. It's just a nice savory muffin that would go well with a nice savory soup.
Oh, wonderful. So
Something
soup and muffins instead of soup and bread.
A little
Something
different.
different.
Yes, it's quick and easy.
Now, I know you told me you need an onion for this, obviously, because they're onion muffins.
Yes, let me
And
see
you're gonna tell me
how
an amount, aren't you?
many onions we actually need.
Now, I have trouble cutting up onions. Now, these onions haven't been so bad. Do any of you have trouble cutting up muffins? Or
Oh,
muffins?
onions?
Cut up muffins too.
muffins.
I always cry. I never make it past cutting just the top off. And there's so many tricks that you're supposed to be able to do. And I don't think I have yet had one succeed for a very long amount of time.
My trick is get really good at it and then cut them really fast.
That's a good idea.
I wouldn't advise this at home, but I tried once cutting with my eyes closed and I actually could do it. You have to be really careful. But
Oh yeah, Woo,
That would
I'd
work.
probably cut my
you
hand
know,
off.
no, not advisable, but doable.
Always pull.
Okay, so for these muffins, it calls for 1.5 cups of flour. I'm gonna go ahead and do a mixture of regular all-purpose flour. Let that shows up, and whole wheat flour. So that we get a little bit more nutrition in. So
Now I'm gonna cut up these onions, and you probably want them fairly small, yes?
yes, for muffins, it did call for small, finely diced Oh, onions. Because they'll cook. I mean, it's a quick bread. Muffins are quick. They don't take a long time to cook. And if the onion pieces were too big, they probably would still be raw.
That would not be.
And that would not be the
pleasant.
best.
Want them as small as possible.
All right.
Come on, chopping away.
Calls for, so for the flour, I did a half a cup of all-purpose and a cup of whole wheat. You could do equal parts. You could, however you like. It doesn't really matter. And half a teaspoon of salt. I'm getting all the dry ingredients together in the bowl. And then we will mix those together so you don't get a section that's really salty and a section that's not salty at all. And
Pulling those dry ingredients together is important.
and 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. Oh,
Thank you.
and 1.5
Around you here, as you
teaspoons.
find your spoon.
Yes.
Measure.
Half a tablespoon is the same as 1.5 teaspoons, so I'll do that. Usually when I'm doing anything with baking powder or baking soda, I don't know, does it work as well with baking powder to add a little bit of acid? I know for soda it does.
Yeah, soda. It's more important.
More important for soda, maybe not
baking
as much.
powder.
So sometimes if you're doing recipes that call for baking soda, put a little bit of lemon juice in with milk or the liquid or whatever, and it just reacts, makes a chemical reaction and it rises it up
Yes.
better.
Like
And
a
it neutralizes the baking soda.
That's true. It does. It neutralizes.
Okay.
Because baking soda is the base.
Yeah.
So
Don't
it's an
want
acid you
anything too
neutralize.
much of anything.
Too much science.
Too
for
much
us.
one thing. I don't-
What do you
there's
need
not-
next?
Oh, there is a little place to plug down.
Oh, I lost you.
Sorry. Let me see if I can plug this in down here. So it calls for 2 eggs, but we're going to do what we call flax eggs,
Mhm.
which is just ground up flax seeds. Now you can buy already ground up flax.
Mhm.
That makes life easier if that's what you want. The advantage to grinding your own is that it's more nutritious. The nutrition is locked up until you actually use it. I think it tastes a little better.
Yeah, it tends to go rancid. The ground does if
Yeah.
it's sits too
So
long.
I don't love the ground. So this is just it's sold as a coffee grinder, but it's a flax grinder, really. That's what I use it for. All right, so I'm gonna do
It got repurposed.
1 teaspoon of flax per egg. So I'm gonna do 2 teaspoons of flax for the 2 eggs. And warm that up for a while.
We can pull that over here.
Okay,
How long have you had your little coffee grinder? Want me to start off?
several years. I don't know. Actually, I think the lid went bad and I was able to find another one
Yeah,
used.
so it's
They
easy
had a good
to
lid, so I just replaced the lid, but they last a long time.
last a long
And
time for flax
they're
seeds.
inexpensive.
Yeah.
Okay. So for the water to make up the wet part of the egg, it's 3 tablespoons of water per egg.
Mhm, mhm.
So
So you need some water,
yeah, we can just use
3 tablespoons of water per egg.
that's a 2 tablespooner.
Yes, it is.
That's a big spoon.
So 3 per egg, you said?
Yes.
So,
So 6.
oh, look, we have water that just appeared on the
magically-
table.
magically
So
appeared.
fantastic.
Now I'm kind of a silly person when it comes to measuring liquids and stuff. I know that 6 tablespoons is roughly a third of a cup.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
I just usually do a third of a cup. I'm not very exact.
So
I'm more like what you would call
it's really close because 5 2/3
a
is
dump cook.
me too.
Whatever.
Whatever ends up, ends up. Are you
wait,
just
let's
doing this
see.
straight in here? Or are you doing it into a
Yeah,
cup for the eggs?
I wasn't gonna put it in there.
Why don't
I'm-
you put it in this measuring cup here?
Yeah. I
And then
do
you can
that.
mix the flax up with
All
it.
right, it's not gonna hurt
So you
anything.
need
to do that way. 2
6.
more. All right.
And we have red and blue that makes purple.
Ooh,
Sorry, color.
That's cool.
Jumped out at me.
Okay, so normally I guess you mix the flax with the water and let it sit for a while.
Mhm.
I never did.
I don't either. I always just stick it in. But
I put
it's
the
supposed
dry
to.
in. They always turn out just fine.
Yep. I've never had a problem with it either.
So
I think the reason they do
Cooking.
that is to go
Get
ahead
it
and
to
get the
gel.
gel-like texture that an egg has. But if you're already mixing everything together, it's kind of an extra step.
yeah, I do
Yeah.
not have a problem. Just
I'm
doing it
sure
like
there's some
this.
science in it, but
Maybe.
when you're in a
Maybe.
hurry, it doesn't matter so much.
No. Okay,
All right.
so then
So then
My-
you're adding
my
your,
recipe turned off.
oh dear.
No joy. Okay. All right. So that's our 2 eggs. Half a cup of finely chopped onions. A half a cup of oil. So that would go.
So you've got
There's
half a
not
cup here.
really a lot of liquid. But
Probably because the onions are going to cook
the onions
into
are
it, huh?
going to soften it up.
And then you've got your water for your flax there too.
Now, with sweet muffins, you can totally replace the oil, and probably in this one too. I don't really know if you could do it, but with applesauce,
You can always do half and half if nothing
And-
else. So
you could really cut down the oil in this recipe. I didn't really have time to test it with lower amounts of oil, so grab me a
Okay.
spoon,
sure.
mix that up. You can throw the onions in.
Throw the onions in too.
Sure.
All right. Here go the finely chopped onions. Hopefully they're finely chopped enough.
The professional cooks are cringing. Like, oh no.
As I scrape the knife across the board.
No. The way I'm throwing things together,
No worries.
it all. So this is going to be maybe
That's what makes
Half-
good cooks.
half a batch.
When you're like,
I
"Ah,
don't
it'll
know."
work.
Yeah.
Remove the salt for you.
All right.
And you're gonna scoop these in. And yeah, this is a
So
much
this is a-
drier muffin at this
Yeah.
particular juncture, at least.
Yep. But wait till they come out.
See,
They are good. All
that
right.
looks good.
And we've preheated the oven. Should be warm, 400 degrees, and they're going to bake for 25 minutes. I hope we have. Yep, just about.
So this recipe makes about 6.
I guess so. So
About
if you're
6
wanting a
muffins.
full muffin tin, you would need to double this batch.
A baker's half dozen is
Yeah.
about what you've got.
That's good enough. You can really kind of heat these up too because they're not gonna spill over.
Mm-hmm.
They're not so
Yeah,
wet.
because they don't. Yep, they're not as wet, so they
Mhm.
will cook up nicely.
Okay, so into
There
the
we
oven
go.
they go.
Into the oven at 400 for how long? you said?
400 for 25 minutes.
25 minutes.
I will set a timer.
We should be able to see those come out then in just
That
a
would
little
be
bit.
good. Okay, so
All right.
our soup is not boiling yet, so we're going to, well, we still have beets to chop up. And if your family,
Oh, it's on the. We need it on the big side.
oh, that will help.
I have a burner like that too.
Okay, if you like beets, you can actually leave part of the beets in chunks or cubes. If you're wanting to try to camouflage them in with the other vegetables, if you have picky family members or something, you can grate the beets, just grate them all. And it will not be as obvious that they're in there. So I think that's what we're going to be doing today.
Shall we move the?
So I just peeled the beet, cut the tops off. They came like this in the store, big bushy bunch of greens, and we've already prepped them and they're going to go into the soup.
Bring this over here.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna remove that and put this on here. So you can totally shred beets by hand, yes,
Oh yeah.
but it will take you
Oh yeah.
longer than you probably want.
We're looking for
So
quick and simple, but if you don't have one of these and you have the box grater, you can do the box grater. I have an old fashioned hand crank kind of grater that works great.
these are fantastic though. I highly recommend an investment in a food processor if you don't have one already.
Yes.
They are worth every penny. Oh. And this has a lot of beets in it, yes?
It does have a lot of beets in it,
And these are big beets.
but it doesn't taste beety. For people who don't like the flavor of beets, you don't taste it.
You don't.
You don't. It tastes delicious, but not beety. If that's that's not a word, but that's
You
okay.
chop some of these up, don't I? Let me get on this side of you and I'll chop some of them. Use the pieces. I love that every time we do this, we always have some kind of electronic piece of equipment running that you get to hear one way or another. So,
This knife is like better.
yes, it is. And so then with the beets, you don't have to cut them too many pieces, but just big enough to go down the hole.
Big enough to go into the food processor.
Keep them going. Put potatoes over here. I think the food processor is less loud than the blender though. Oh, I didn't get that one skinny enough. Woo! Meat's jumping off the counter. The only thing you do have to watch with these is the lid popping up from getting too much in it. So I don't want to get too much in it. Probably not too bad yet, but
Put them in here.
yeah, we still have some room. But you can see it makes nice little shreds. You don't have to go to too much trouble there. Hopefully you can see that it makes nice shreds. I don't know, one of my cameras is frozen, so I can't tell. Throw those in there. Now, sometimes I've heard you say that you actually dice some of the beets as well.
I think the recipe says dice half and grate half.
Oops, I need to grate that.
And I know my grandma also used to sometimes dice potatoes in recipes that she wanted to have it ready really fast. Shredded potatoes, I'm sorry. So you could do that, but the potatoes cook so soft and they might get a little mushy.
Every time I cut beets, it looks like I've
Hurt
been
yourself?
doing something that I shouldn't. Yeah. Cutting something or someone.
I know, it looks worse than it is.
They put a lot of beets in a lot of the products now too that are like
Oh yeah. The
burgers.
vegan
The vegan burgers and
Yeah,
things like
they-
that. Whatever. Which is
To
still
give it
kind of
that-
weird.
red color.
Yeah, to give it the red color. All right. Go ahead. I don't think it's gonna fit. Pieces at a time. Need to chop that one. So there's no like super fast way to do this other than shredding them through this. You really get to watch us in action today. So
But if you make a really big batch and have some for leftovers, you're getting 2 meals out of all the work.
this is true. And it's simple work, just cutting the
It's not-
vegetables. Just cutting vegetables is
It's
pretty
not that
simple work.
bad.
And this soup turns a very pretty color.
Oh yeah,
Very pretty color.
beautiful.
And think of all the lovely nutrition you're getting from this.
Yes, red foods have anthocyanins in them or something like that. It's like, I don't know. I think it's an antioxidant
Okay.
from what I've heard. So red food is really good for you. Red.
You
I should say red plant foods.
red plant foods, yeah, not red meat.
Not all red things.
You've been eating plant-based for all your life, right?
Yep.
It's wonderful. Like Karen from last week, who is so gracious to let us use her kitchen again, if you recognize it. Oops, and I'm throwing meats on the floor again. Oh, we've got boiling now, so. Oh, good. You're good. Boiling. Oh, and then there went your phone. That back up?
It's getting a little full.
Getting a little full, maybe. So for three batches, you would have to do three food processors full. Oh, we have a bigger bowl.
Bigger bowl.
We might need a bigger bowl.
A bigger bowl. Thank you.
So many beets. I can smell the onions and celery already starting behind us.
Yeah, it's starting to get good. Smell good.
We have also already cut up some of the other ingredients for the soup, beet greens being one of them, and carrots being another. So we have the carrots and the beet greens.
And carrots and the beet greens and potatoes cook up a lot faster than the beets, so they're going to go in later. So they're waiting their time.
They're waiting their time. Good plan.
Woo!
We forgot the shredding blade.
Okay, it might help.
You got it there.
Ta-da.
So just a few more. Well, it's probably too fat. But we'll try. So I apologize for you having to listen to us cut up all of the beets. Both of us are really busy moms, and this week has been really, really busy for me and her.
Oops.
So we had some extra beets we didn't get quite done. All right. The beautiful thing about being a busy person.
Yeah.
So it looks like we have all the potatoes cut up. You went ahead and peeled them. You use what kind of potatoes?
I use what are they called? Gold, Yukon Gold or something?
Yukon Gold.
Just
Just a texture preference or a taste preference?
I think it's a texture preference.
A texture preference?
They don't tend to disintegrate into the soup as much.
Yeah.
And I like that individual, like you can tell it's a chunk of potato.
Instead of turning into a
So
squishy,
it's
starchy
not,
mess.
Yeah, it's not just much. So yeah,
So the gold ones work best.
here, let me get a napkin.
Here, yeah, we can do that.
Thanks.
I'm trying to keep from staining everything with beet juice, but
Yeah. It might be the
we might end up with a pink countertop for a little bit. I'm
All
going to be
right, so
pink for a while too. I have some
It's going. So I'm gonna
some
go
pink
ahead and
fingers.
throw the beets in because they do take a little longer to cook.
Woo! I think I just knocked something over. Oh
Yeah.
dear. And this is
So-
a rolling boil now at this point. And here goes the beets. And the soup turns pink.
Beautiful.
All right. So since the beets take a little longer, they were the next thing to go in. Then what do you put in after that?
I think the next thing I would work on would be the cabbage. If we have the potatoes, well, we do have a couple of potatoes.
Mhm.
Oh, and another carrot. I don't know if we're gonna put those in.
So the cabbage, I don't know if any of you have been to Walmart recently. I was in there yesterday to purchase cabbage, and
They
she
are.
got one of these as well. The cabbage is like this big. and probably weighs like what, 8 pounds?
I don't know.
really,
They were
really big right
gigantic.
now. And so cabbage is one of those things that's really good for you too. You can't go wrong with putting more greens in for sure. And you're finishing some potatoes as well. So it looks like we're going to chop a couple more potatoes. Now, the recipe that you have originally calls for less potatoes, right?
It calls for 1 potato.
One
But
potato?
in my house with hungry, mostly teenagers, 1 potato for a pot of soup is not going to be enough.
No.
So I look at the recipe and I say, at least 5 or 6 or more, because there needs to be enough substance. So just put in what you're going to eat, what looks good. What do you think the combination will be? Could be more, it could be less. If you like a brothier soup, put fewer big chunky ingredients in.
Right.
But my children like
Stew.
soup with substance.
Yes.
Yes, soup.
That's the thing in our house too. We've never been big into soups that are like, don't have things in them. So we'll take blended soup, like even tomato soup, and add stuff to it. So
Yep.
it has something that you can chew.
Something of substance.
We have another bowl for the potatoes. Thank you. And we'll throw these potatoes in here. And then cabbage, you said, is next, right?
Yeah.
For cutting or?
I'll chop it up. Yeah. In your opinion, cabbage takes a little while to cook. It's not as long cooking as some of the other vegetable ingredients, but
I tend to cook cabbage longer just because
yeah.
I like the texture of it better if it's cooked a little more.
Yeah.
So this is a massive undertaking. So I'll give you half.
It really is. And you can shred it. You can dice it.
Totally.
I think I usually just dice it.
It's easy enough and it breaks down enough.
Yeah,
It's an easy one to chop up. So this is also another thing that you could do with the soup is prep all of your ingredients the day before. And then you can just throw it together really quickly and easily.
yes, I have done that.
That's really helpful, isn't it?
Yep. So then meal day, it's just letting it actually cook together,
Mhm.
and it's not a problem.
And here's a crazy question for you. Have you ever tried this in the crock pot?
I have not tried it in a crock pot. I'm sure it would work. I'm not the most experienced crock pot person. I think I have tried it in a pressure cooker, but that one, because of the different, I don't know, firmnesses of the vegetables, you would almost have to do it in batches.
Mhm.
So you'd have to pressure cook it for a little while with the beets, the beet green stems or whatever, the harder things,
Mhm.
and then maybe a few more minutes with the
With the
softer
things that are
vegetables.
softer.
So I'm sure it could be done, and then that would be a really fast meal. But I think for developing the flavors and stuff, we just like to do it
Yeah.
on the stove. The slow cooker probably would work
slow
really well, but I have
You
not
have a
tried
shot.
it.
I probably cut it too small for you. I'm sorry.
Oh no! It'll be a nice
Variety of textures
Variety
and
of
sizes. We probably should have used the potatoes, put the potatoes in the smaller bowl. The cabbage.
Oh, it's fine. It works.
So are we going to throw the cabbage in now?
Yeah.
All
sure.
right.
We-
The cabbage is going to go into the soup. And
Ooh.
then
It's getting full.
it is.
But cabbage cooks down, so
It does. And the beets cook down some.
and the greens will cook completely away.
I'll let you scoop this off as I try to
Whoops.
keep it from falling all over
Nope.
the place. So there we go. Lots of cabbage.
Lots and lots of cabbage.
Now you're asking, why soup? Why are we making soup in August? The hottest month of the year. Mistress, right? Because we love it so much, we want you to be able to eat it all winter long, because we will not have any cooking schools until next year. So
And it will not be hot forever.
this is true. This is
It will
true.
start to cool off, and then you'll crave soups and full food. And this is
The perfect time for it. Yes.
anytime is the perfect time for this soup, in my opinion.
Now, while she's doing that, or while you're getting ready to cut something else up
I
or
think
share
I'm
something.
Yeah.
Oh, here
I'll
I
t-
am
I'll tell
watching
you when
something.
You're working on
I'll just
that.
use this. I'm going to go back towards summer because I still like summer. And right now I have a lot of cucumbers and tomatoes at my disposal. And we were thinking one of the salads that our family loves is just a simple cucumber and tomato salad with dill and lemon juice. And I don't know if you've ever made that before, but it's just something that like our families love. So I wanted to share that with you today. And so here I am going to cut up some more vegetables.
I think it goes really well with the soup too, because there's a lot of dill in this beet soup.
This is true.
So it called for 1/4 of a cup of fresh dill. And I forgot to check what the conversion rate would be for dried dill. You can make it with dried dill, but it wouldn't be the same amount. It would be less because it's more concentrated.
Right.
So I
And
don't
it's
know.
worth getting the fresh.
Tablespoon or 2. Yeah, the fresh is just better flavor.
And it's accessible now as well.
Yeah.
You can find it pretty much anywhere, which is wonderful. My next goal is to be able to grow dill as well. I have not succeeded this year in trying to grow dill. So we ended up thinking that we had dill in our yard and we had dog fennel.
Oh,
And I was like,
not
that's a really big thing. But we were excited to find out that you can use it for mosquitoes.
Oh.
And so if you rub your skin with dog fennel, which looks like dill and kind of smells like dill, it keeps mosquitoes away and it actually works.
good to know.
Yeah. So look up dog fennel sometime. You get a moment. The interesting things you find growing in your yard.
Okay, my recipe for the soup called for 1 can of diced tomatoes. And I was looking at that. I'm like, what size do I normally put in? I don't know.
So you use
Thank you. So I just got some big cans. We'll just put in, see what it looks like, if it needs more, or if you're not a fan of tomatoes as much, maybe you would want to use the smaller cans. But I don't know. I'm going to start with 2 big cans and see if it looks like we need any more. Taste it, see if it tastes good.
that sounds like a good plan.
That's
Sometimes those are the best recipes.
I know, but they can be annoying too. And they just tell you 1 can and you're like, but they're different sizes of cans.
Oh, so true.
Which one do I choose? But we like tomatoes in our family. So
My least favorite thing in recipes is usually salt to taste because
Oh.
I'm like, I need to know how much
What
salt to put in.
what does that mean?
I'll over salt something.
One.
So I'm just cutting up 1 cucumber here. I don't know if you can see it or not, but I have 1 cucumber going.
I'm gonna throw these tomatoes in because they're already cooked.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
not- they're not gonna
You don't have to
be
worry
bothered
about that.
by. I'm wondering if we should go ahead. How much time do we have left? Go ahead and throw the potatoes in
Yeah, go for it.
so they can start doing their thing.
So these are actually all tomatoes from my garden. Did anybody else have a really good tomato year this year? There's so, if you grew tomatoes, it seems like I had a friend also who grew tomatoes that just had tons and tons of them this year. Stealing your knife because this one's really sharp.
You may have it.
So I really like these little cherry tomatoes. They're probably my favorite ones that I've grown ever. I don't know what it is about them. They just they're like flavor bombs.
That's awesome. When you land on a good variety of tomatoes, it's so wonderful.
Yes, it is. And I don't even know, like, other than being called cherry tomatoes, what they are. I just took the seeds from last year and grew them again.
Grow them again. Okay, calls for 6 table. Well, this batch, the really big batch, single batch, I think would be 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Now, a trick, and it's probably not that earth shattering, but what I do with my tomato paste, if I have a recipe that calls for 1 tablespoon or 2 tablespoons, if I don't do something with it right away, all the rest of it, it'll go bad.
Oh yeah.
So I take a spoon and I get a tablespoon worth sort of and stick it down in a little plastic bag and kind of put blobs of tomato paste in the plastic bag, zipper bag, and stick it in the freezer. And then when I have a recipe that calls for a tablespoon or 2 of tomato paste, I just open my little bag and throw it in.
That's a great idea.
And it doesn't go bad.
That's a great
So
idea.
but this one calls for 6 tablespoons. I don't remember how many ounces are in a tablespoon. Do you remember that? I don't remember.
Does it say on the side of the can what the serving size is?
Oh, that's a good idea. 2 tablespoons and there's 5 servings.
So you're gonna go a little bit more. A little bit more than, so there's 10 tablespoons in there. A little more than half.
Yeah, so I won't go all the way down to the bottom. I don't usually measure. I usually take a spoon and I go, that looks like it's a tablespoon. And
And you plop it in?
I just pop it in. I'm totally a dump cook. I don't, well, the only time I follow almost to a T would be like making bread where things have to have a specific hydration percentage or whatever.
Yeah, baking requires precise
Cooking is so
science often.
easy. So I'm gonna put
I don't know why I just did that.
6-ish
But
tablespoons of tomato paste in.
so I
Oops.
also love tomatoes. So the more tomatoes in a tomato salad, better. Sorry, Pastor Chris, if you're on here. I know you don't like tomatoes raw, but
Oh man.
poor people who don't like raw tomatoes.
Aw.
Well, cooked is just fine.
I grew up eating so many tomatoes. My grandpa grew them, and I think I've always loved them, but now they remind me of him too, especially growing my own. So there is the tomatoes and cucumbers all diced up. And then I add lemon juice to that, which I think we have a lemon juicer over there
Yes.
that Karen so graciously lent us. And to be honest, I've never done this ever.
Do you do it that way or do you do it
Do
backwards?
the other way.
It
See,
goes
I've
the
told
other
you
way.
I didn't even know how to use it.
Okay, show them how it goes.
So it goes like that. The
And
lemon
you
goes
basically
on
turn
that
the
side.
lemon inside out.
That's weird. I watched her do it last week. You think I would learn, but apparently didn't. Again, forearm muscles get practice being used here.
Mhm. I
Don't
watched
wanna use too much.
it was a weight loss show once upon a long time ago.
And I didn't bring my salt.
And the participants in this contest, they were trying to see if they could lose the most weight or something like that. And they had to make their own food. They couldn't go out and get it fast food. They had to stand because part of the thing was you're burning calories standing. You're using your muscles working. It all works together for better health if you actually make your food
Oh yeah.
yourself and squeeze the onions and the garlic and
And lemons.
feel the burn.
Now I cheated because I didn't make it to the store to get
Oh, the
fresh dill. So I have dill weed
fine.
that's dried, which is really inexpensive. I got this one at the village market. If you live here around here in Ottawa or near it, they sell bulk spices. That's where I got this one. And you know that I'm a dump cook already, and I just add whatever seems good to me. So I just cover it, sprinkle it.
Another good bread. I've never tried to make it, but another good bread that would go great with this recipe is rye bread.
Oh yeah, that would be
So
delicious.
I think the directions said rye would be good. I'm like, wow, that sounds good.
Oh yeah.
But I need to learn how to make rye bread because I don't know how.
Can I
Maybe
use
there's
some of
some
yours?
rye.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Perfect.
Absolutely.
Rye is good. Maybe there's a spoon around here I can grab.
These little.
There we go. I'm just gonna add a little bit of salt, and this is one of those recipes, salt to taste, that I said I hate, but I just sprinkle a little bit.
Well, the more you cook, the more you get an idea of how much salt per the amount that you're salting.
That's true. That is
I
true.
have figured that one out.
That's good. And that's as easy as that salad is. And just stir it up and you're good to go.
I'm gonna go ahead and throw the carrots in. They don't take long to cook, but we don't have much time. So
No, we don't. And this, I don't know if they can see how full this pot is.
We
This is a
can-
gigantic pot.
I don't know. It's
We have
yeah,
it.
it's an inch from
It's
the top.
like, yep, about right there. So she's added the carrots and it's cooking well.
We are all salivating.
You gonna add the beet greens as well, or wait till the very, very
Let
end?
me see how much time we have left. Maybe 10 minutes. Nope, 7. Wow.
And I'm gonna mix the salad up.
Okay, so
little
as
bit.
to add the dill in at the end, because you don't want the greens and the dill are so tender and they have nutrients that if you put them in too early, it's gonna just pretty much cook the nutrients out and maybe the flavor. So these go in kind of toward the very end. So I will probably go ahead and throw those in.
All right. Beet greens and then dill.
Yeah, I wish we could see the pot here. They can probably see the the ingredients sticking out of the top of the pot.
Yes, it's so nice and full and smells amazing. This is definitely a recipe worth trying to make.
Try it
and-
at least once.
Yes,
Because there have
definitely
been
worth
so
it.
many people who told me either they didn't like beets or somebody in their family didn't like beets. And when they tried this recipe, they liked, at least in this recipe, they liked beets.
Agreed.
So
Now you usually add
oh,
some other things to this too, don't you? At the very end.
I do.
I think we put 'em
I
in the freezer.
also,
The
the frozen,
I think they're in the freezer.
okay.
Yes,
Oh,
we
here?
added them from the put them in the freezer.
Now this soup traditionally is a meat soup and they would have, yeah. just throw in beef in. Like ground beef or something,
Mhm.
which we don't do, but you can get vegan replacement, which my children like. It's totally a preference thing. You can leave it out. It's totally not required. And the other thing that we like to do is, where did the sour cream get to?
So it's probably in the refrigerator, keeping everything where it's supposed to be.
Yay!
Right?
So it's really, really good with a dollop of some kind of vegan sour cream on top.
Mhm.
Oops. I don't know if there's room.
Ooh,
Oh,
we
boy.
need to turn the burner down. It's boiling over on us.
Boiling over. Oh, boy.
Maybe I can save us from getting too boiled.
I'm wondering. I'll put some in, but I don't know if we'll be able to get it all in. Maybe we will.
It's just going down to the bottom.
Woo! Ooh, it's splashing.
Maybe if I put some.
Just get the lid back on. So I would say, at least to show them a picture of it, we probably could go ahead and scoop some out. It's not quite
Yeah,
done.
sure.
But
You went to
oh,
there's burger crumbles in that one.
mm,
I'll probably get it all over the side of the cup.
no, it's good. Oh, that's a lot of burger. Get some broth or something.
Yeah. It's all stuck together.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Oh, look how rich and red and delicious looking this soup is.
That one doesn't work now.
Oh,
So,
you
well,
can kind of see
you
at
can.
an angle how beautiful it is. And then plop the sour cream on top.
And normally you add some lemon too as well, right?
Yes, I'm sorry. I
Usually to the
forgot.
whole pot, but there's still some lemon juice in there if you want to use it.
Yeah.
Top a little bit.
Yeah, it could be to taste, because my husband actually doesn't love the lemon in it.
Oh,
I do. So
gives it a nice kick there.
yes, normally we would add lemon juice to the pot, but we'll just add it here and then put the
Got it now. And then top it with the sour cream.
meant to be a pretty dollar. But anyway. All right,
Yeah.
so here's our soup. And I'm excited. I'm looking forward to eating
Yeah, it smells so good. Now, one thing we have left is to
Oh,
check
the
the muffins.
The muffins. The
And they
muffins.
look like they're done. We
Yep.
probably use the towel. I can get it with the towel.
Yeah.
I hope. Them out.
So to me,
Yep, they came right out. Can you do it on the? Yeah, grab a bowl. That's a good idea. There we go.
to me, it honestly looks like they could have had a little bit more water. So when you make your flax egg, you could probably do a little bit more. They're hot, but they're moist, and I like them.
Yeah. Delicious. Thank you so much,
So I-
Trudy, for sharing your borscht recipe and your onion muffins
If I can
recipe.
convert one more person to beets, I will consider myself successful.
You're gonna convert the world to beets.
Convert the
Everybody's gonna love
world.
them.
Oh, Beets are your friend. I don't know.
Yes, so good for you. If anybody has any questions for us right now, that is the end of our cooking. But if you have anything you want to ask us, please go ahead and do that now. And my son will field the questions for me because we can't hear you right at the moment.
Right. Well, it doesn't seem like we're having any questions come in tonight. So thank you, Trudy and Rachel, for cooking. And we'll be getting last week's recipes and this week's recipes out by email, hopefully within the next couple of days. And don't forget, we have one more class in this series next Thursday at 7 o'clock. So
Two.
we'll
We
see
have-
everyone. Oh, we have two more? We have two more. So that's a bonus. A bonus for me anyway. So next Thursday at 7 o'clock and then the following Thursday at 7 o'clock.
Mhm.
So we'll see
Yes.
everybody next week.
Thank you.